All right, let's talk about how you're going to write your language analysis. Writing is only ever the second component of the entire VCA essay writing process. The first component is the reading or the analysis component. And while a lot of people seem to focus only on the writing component, you need to make sure that your skills in analyzing the actual article are on bloody point. So I've got heaps of videos on this channel showing you how to analyze particular articles. I've gone through many years of previous VCA or VCAA, however you want to say it, English past exams. During this season for 2021, I'll also be going through 2019 and 2020 English VCA exams. So make sure you subscribe to this channel or my mailing list because I'll update you guys there on when that video comes out. So as I mentioned at the start of this video, the analytical component, the thinking component is just as critical for you as the execute component of this task. Even though this video is about how to write a language analysis, I'm going to take you through how you can analyze an actual article properly so that when it comes to writing the actual essay itself, you got yourself covered, you know? When it comes to analyzing an article, there are certain rules that teachers might teach you. They might teach you the XYZ rule. They might teach you the TEA rule, the T rule. Or the one that I'm going to show you today is the T rule with a T and double E. You can use whatever rule you want. I mean, they're pretty much all the same at the end of the day. I'm sure there are lots of variations out there. So if you wanted to share with us what your teacher has taught you in the comment section below, please go ahead and do so. But yeah, I guess as I'm teaching you how you can use the T rule, just modify it to your own acronym, whatever you're using. Also, FYI, I teach this T rule in my How to Write a Killer Language Analysis study guide. In that study guide, you can see more examples of how I use the T rule, and I've got sample articles with sample essays to go along with them so that you know exactly how all of this comes together. So go check that out if you're interested. So for me, the T rule is technique. So what is the persuasive technique that's used? Example, what's the piece of evidence essentially that you need to use to back up what you're saying? And E for effect. So what is the intended impact on audiences' attitudes? Now the intended part of intended impact is critical here because you want to ensure that when you're writing your essay, you don't say this person definitely gets persuaded in this way, because you can't speak for all the people out there, okay? You're only one person and your interpretation is only your own. It's subjective. And so it's important when you talk about the effect on readers that it's just the intended effect or the effect that may occur. So here's a hot tip: rather than using definite words such as will, definitely, people are going to feel this particular way, you want to replace it with words that are a little bit more sitting in the middle. So this urges readers to do this. This may persuade readers to feel this particular way. So it's a really small and minute change in your languaging that sort of backs up yourself and ensures that you're showing your examiner or your teacher that you get it. You know that you don't speak for all the thousands of people out there reading this article. So if you want to put together the T rule, it essentially looks like this. This technique is used in this example to create this effect. And basically you just replace technique, example, and effect with the analysis that you're going to cover. Now, just as a side note, rules are fantastic for beginners, for people who are still learning the rope in terms of an analysis. But once you get comfortable enough with your analysis, you are more than welcome to break these rules and to start experimenting with how you want to create your sentence structure. So you might want to, instead of going T-E-E, you might want to go E for effect first, and then technique, and then example. You can absolutely scramble them around, which is another hot tip. It's great for your essays because that way your essays don't feel so formulaic. It's not just the same type of sentence structure after sentence structure as you analyze. You're mixing things up a little bit, and it goes to show that you are comfortable enough, you are confident enough in yourself that you can go ahead and toy with these rules a little bit more. But of course, you know, if you're not ready for that, don't do it. Know your limits, understand your own progress. So let's look at how I would use this T rule in an actual example, and then I'll show you how you'd add it into an essay. So let's analyze this particular quote together. If I said to you, "You're my smartest friend, I'm really stuck on this question, can you help me out?" Now let's apply the T rule to this quote. When you come to think about the technique, sometimes it might not be that obvious. And I've talked about this before, but don't go and rely only on the language technique lists that are out there. They're not going to be that helpful for you, especially when you're at a year 12 level. You should know the techniques in those tables, but you should be able to discover and find your own language techniques. And it's actually super easy though. So if I said this to you in real life, think about what I've just done. I've essentially just given you a compliment. And so we can label this particular technique as a compliment. A compliment is not going to be in those language technique lists that you see in textbooks, but it works. It's definitely a persuasive type of technique. So for T technique, we'll say compliment. The example is just the quote itself. So "You're my smartest friend, I'm really stuck on this question and I need help." Let's stick with the "I need help" rather than whatever I said off the cuff just a second ago. And then you want to think about the effect. And this really trumped me for a very long time. I did well in language analysis when I was in year 11. I was getting A's, and even in year 10 I was getting A's. But for some reason I couldn't crack the damn A+. I couldn't get those final 1 or 2 marks. I could not understand why. And it was after I got taught this that everything just clicked. And this works so well for so many of my students that I know it's going to work for you too. So essentially all you want to think about is put yourself in the reader's shoes. Like you are the reader or the listener. And if I say this to you, if I give you this compliment of "You're my smartest friend, I'm stuck on this question, I need help," tell me, how would you feel? What would you think? And what do you want? These are the 3 prompts you can use anytime you want to think about the effect. You don't have to think about all 3 of them all the time. You can just, whichever one kind of pops up and makes most sense. So if someone gave me a compliment, I would blush and I'd feel, for lack of better words, happy. I'd feel flattered that someone is coming to me for help. And in return, I would want to help them out because they've said something nice to me. Like when people give you compliments, you don't usually go, "Hell no, you were so rude." That doesn't generally happen. So in that sense, let's just summarize it as we feel proud or flattered and thus we're encouraged to assist this person. And then if you wrap this all up into a sentence, it looks like this, following the T rule. The compliment, "You are my smartest friend, I'm really stuck on this question, I need help," encourages the listener, so me, to feel a sense of pride, and this in turn can encourage them to help out the friend. See, pretty straightforward, right? I think with analyzing argument, a lot of people just tend to overcomplicate it, but a lot of this stuff you know inherently from your own real life experiences. So leverage that in your English and you'll come to find that this section of English is actually just a great section to do because you don't need to learn a whole new textbook, like reading a novel where you don't understand the themes or you don't feel a sense of connection. I feel like in analyzing argument, there's always that connection because you can just use what you've experienced. When it comes to writing the language analysis essay itself, you've got your intro, body paragraphs, and your conclusion. I won't go into too much detail because I've got so many videos I've done on this in the past, so feel free to go ahead and watch them. In particular, I'm thinking about the 2016, don't quote me on this one, language analysis where I literally analyze it from the start to end, and then I take you through how I would write an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion as well, including talking about structure. So go check that out. But basically how this T rule works in an essay is you can use the T rule over and over again. So once you get to your body paragraph, every sentence can just be a T. So sentence 1 is T, sentence 2 is another T, sentence 3 is another T. So if you wish to just to only do that and keep it that simple, you would still do well in analyzing argument. But as I mentioned before, if you want to break outside of your comfort zone, you're feeling more confident, you feel like you want to compete against those people who are going to do exceptional English, then start playing things up a little bit. You can change the rule, you can mix it around, scramble it up. And that's actually how I ended up getting A+ in my SAC and in my end of year exam. Let's do a bonus T rule. So if I said to you, the pet puppy was stuck inside a car on a 32-degree summer day with no windows left open, no room for fresh air, how would you feel? What do you want from it? What do you think? You don't have to work through TEE in order. You can think about the effect first, especially if that's going to help you define what the technique might be. And we're going to do that in this particular situation. So for me, I probably feel sympathetic towards the puppy. I think it's unfair that the puppy is in such a horrendous and potentially life-threatening situation. So in that case, what I might do is I might say that it's an appeal for technique to sympathy. There's no such thing as a correct technique, so you could say appeal to sympathy, you could say appeal to a sense of urgency, or you could just say that it builds a sense of urgency to save this puppy, or you could say that it appeals to disgust or anger towards the puppy's owner. There's just so many different perspectives you can go on this, and I know it takes time to find the confidence to sort of hone in on your own analysis and be comfortable with your own interpretation. But I'm here to tell you that I want you to do that. I want you to experiment and sort of go at things from different angles. Stop thinking that there's a right way of doing things, because that's only going to make things harder for you. So that's it for this particular video. I'm going to go and film the 2019 analysis now. So keep your eye out for that video, and I'll check you guys soon. Bye!